Hello again. Last time I did an album which I liked, or an EP which I liked, but I think I'm gonna do something a bit more knowledgeable, a bit older, but something I will know I love, or something I know that I can give a proper opinion on because I've heard about it for a while. I've listened to it for an absolutely long time, and I was looking through my phone and I was like, oh, what do I pick which I know very well? And I was thinking about X's 17. I was thinking about like a Jeezy track 'cause I've listened to all Jeezy. I was thinking about a Black Bear album, maybe like The Afterglow or Digital Drug Lord. But I thought, like, what about Peep? Because Peep's one of my favourite artists. I was like, I could do Come Over and You Say We're Part 2, but I'm not a big fan of it. So I was like, maybe I should do something a little bit older, so Part 1 maybe. But I was like, no, I can't do them. So I went down a little bit further. I went to my favourite mixtape, probably like of nearly all time, and it was Hellboy by Little Peep, and I'm just gonna go through it. I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna review every track on it. It's 15 tracks, so it's quite long compared to like the other ones we've been doing, but like it's good. I think it's a very very good track, and we're gonna discuss them and talk about them. And I think that I'm looking at the tracks now and I'm thinking about it. It's like one track I'm not keen on, but all the others I just love. You know, that's how good this track is. Well, 16, sorry, I missed one off, and I missed off one of the main ones, which changes up the album, well, mixtape. So we're gonna go straight into the basic one, the first one, which is Hellboy, the namesake of the track, of this mixtape. And this one's quite an interesting one because he's talking about a girl who left him, and about she's had the same as him, but then he also he talks about like how he's living a certain kind of lifestyle and how his career is like pushing the struggles he's got and everything, and it's quite a like in-depth track, and it starts off with a sample from the Hellboy film, and he goes in and he's talking about how much he loves this girl and how much he misses her, and he's talking about the lifestyle that he lives, and it's a little bit depressing because the lifestyle that he lives, he obviously wanted to live it, but like it was difficult for him to live it, if you know what I mean, because it wasn't a good healthy lifestyle, let's put it that way, and it showed later on in his career. But it's a good track. It's not my favourite track, but it's a very very good track, and it's a weird track to have a weird intro. A lot of his songs are like unique. Anyway, moving on from that, because I'm going to have to go by this a little bit quicker than normal, because otherwise this video, if I do like 2 minutes for each track like I did last time, or however long I did, I think it's like there's 6 tracks, so it took me like 20 minutes. I'm going to have to go a little bit longer than that because there's like double the tracks, so it'd be like nearly an hour. But I think one of the I'm going to obviously talk about the ones which I love more. So like Drive By is another one which I think is good, but it's not my favourite. It is good, and he's talking about a lot of. It's just like is his reckless lifestyle showing through, and how much he's driving down driving down 125, and he's just like the thing he's talking about is like he's a bit depressed, but like he doesn't feel good with himself, like with the gas I'm an asshole and all that kind of thing. But then he kind of shows that he's doing all this, and it's making him feel good, but I don't think he wants it in the right ways, kind of thing. And then obviously Xavier Wolf comes in and he throws some good good bars in this. The solid bars, they're good, they're delivered well. It's such a good track, and I do recommend it. Like, because he's talking about like a relationship, and he's talking about like how he's gotta stay out of it to be able to stay in this relationship, and he doesn't want to fight with this girl. And he's feeling better when he's taking drugs and when he's doing all that, and it's kind of like a sad song in its own sense. Like, it's a good song, but it's sad in its own sense because they talk about how they have to rely on other stuff to make them happy and feel better. So I think it's quite a sad song personally, even though it's got a good trap beat and it's quite upbeat, the track itself, but when you're thinking deep into it, it's actually quite sad, and it's not been a track that I've gone like, yes, I love it, but it's a very good track. Now, Oh My Fucking God is the next track, or OMFG, and this one is one of my favourite tracks of Lil Peep, from Lil Peep of all time. It's just so good, it's so relatable, and it works very, very well. Like, oh, there's my phone disconnecting. But it works so well. He's talking about the suicidal thoughts he's having, and he talks about how, like, he's been at the low points of his life and he's felt suicidal. He's come up in the rap game and he still feels it. Like, he doesn't know what will make him happy, and it's really sad. And he just talks about it, and a lot of people like thought it's like a joke or like using depression for like money. But he was actually very serious in a Pitchfork interview. He's talking about it, and he was serious about this track. And then the verse is just like talking about how his last girl was more than his current girl, and the girl he's on right now, he's comparing her to her, which I know he thinks he shouldn't do. But he's like, he wants to just try and find a girl which was like his last girl, and it's difficult for him because he's taking cocaine, he thinks that everybody acts and takes him the same way, and he's just like, he doesn't give a fuck anymore, and it's just pure emotion on that track. And then it goes back to the hook and a little bit of the chorus again, but it's a short track. It's a very short track with very similar lyrics over and over, but it hits you in the feels very strong, and it's such a good track. And it can be a triggering track, don't get me wrong. Like, it's a difficult track to listen to, and it always will be. But it's something that you need to listen to and need to experience for yourself, and just think about it and go, wow, this is actually like decent. I've talked about that track for a lot. This is the song they played when they crashed into the wall is the next one, which is the longest name for a track ever. It's not. I've seen much longer tracks, especially by X. Got longer names, but it's kind of like a bit more upbeat one, but he still like has a depression feel inside of it, and it's talking about like the drugs, the girls, and like other shows, and he's saying like, oh, it's saying like, oh, it's so good, but it hurts you mentally, and like, it's just so difficult to explain this track. But he's talking about how much like everything's going in with him, and like all these girls are addicted to him because of his money, because of his personality, because of all this, but he just wants someone reliable. He wants someone with that emotional connection that he has. But even though he's talking about like, it's gotta be difficult, and he can't turn around and go in a different route now because he's dedicated in this track, and he's gotta keep going. And it's again, all these tracks, even though a lot of them sound happy, they are quite sad if you read into them and think about them. And I feel like that's why Peep did so well, because that style he did, like he did these upbeat beats, but then every now and again you'd pull back and you'd realise that it's actually got quite sad lyrics, and he's pulled it like from nowhere. So I mean, like some of the lyrics on here, I don't want to die right now, but I admit I do sometimes. These drugs are calling me. Do one more line, don't fall asleep. So it's like it's calling him in. It's making him want to do stuff which he normally doesn't want to do, and it's sad. It's sad to hear someone who wants to do that and wants to push themselves to that level just to feel a little bit better for a bit. You know what I mean? Like, it's a good track. It's produced well. It features Lil Tracy, who's a great artist. Lil Peep is a great artist too, and it just works so well. And then it's a little bit sad, and yeah. So we got Fucked Up next, which I'm gonna admit again isn't one of my favourites. But he's talking about he's just basically talking about like a girl, and he just wants the sexual relation. He doesn't want the attachment. He doesn't want the dedication, because he's been fucked up in the past by other girls, and he's really trying to just like tell her like, look, I'm just here for one thing. You better be here for one thing. I ain't getting feelings. You ain't getting feelings. That's the kind of way it's got to work. And it's a sad song because he's resorted to that, and it's again produced very well. I love this track. All these tracks, they're not clean. They're not like pop or radio clean, but they are clean in Lil Peep's own way, and they sound so good for being that level of clean. And I just wish that people would realise that this wasn't the cleanest. Oh my god, I'm gonna sneeze. 1 minute. Right, I'm back. Sorry, I had to mute myself because I didn't want me sneezing on camera. But it's not the cleanest tracks, but they sound good, and that's the way they are. They're meant to be grimy, a bit like uncomfortable in some ways. And I can't really say much about this track because it's just an alright track. Cobain is a weird one. Like, it feels like happy, and at the start it feels a little bit like happy, but then he just goes into how he's taking drugs again. He goes into how people call him like Kurt Cobain, and like these girls are saying that they love him when he thinks about them, and he doesn't have it because he doesn't have the emotional trust anymore that he can have in a relationship, which normal people would have. Or I dropped my phone, and like Neil Tracy comes in, and he's saying about how he's got money now and he can actually like buy rich and cheap clothing, and he's just like, he's got a new girl. Like, Lil Tracy's talking about a girl, and she actually really loves him, and he's like showing her off like an expensive bag or something because he loves her so much, and he's happy, and he wants everyone to know that she's his, which is like a really interesting verse. And Lil Peep comes in, he's a little bit sadder, and he's like, he's not having the girl who's saying that she loves him because he just can't trust it. And it's quite a sad mix of an album. Like, this song is very short, it's like 2 minutes. And then Gucci Mane is straight up just a reference to Gucci Mane. And then he hasn't this isn't like the first time he mentioned Gucci Mane as well. He's mentioned it in stuff like Downtown and stuff like that. And he's on White Tee, he's also mentioned him, but it's like, he's just talking about like the way how he's not feeling alive even though he is alive, and he's trying to like listen to this music to make him feel better, but it's not making him feel better. He's feeling depressed, he's feeling low, and he's pushing through it, but nothing's really giving him that happiness at the moment, and he's trying to push to try and find something. And it's a good track, and it's solid, and he talks about it, and it's a good track. Like, Gucci Mane is one of my favourites, but it's not like a track which oh my god, just hit the mic. It's not like something I'd recommend to everyone, because I've shown a few people and they just don't like the way it starts. And like, if you're not gonna give a track the first 10 seconds, why are you even listening to it? Interlude is obviously an interlude. It's like a full song, but I don't really. And like, I like the slowness of it, and I like the way it was, but it's not like there. Like, I play it and I'm like, it's just about shoes basically, and I'm like, do I want to listen to a track which is just about shoes? You know what I mean? And it's not there. So it's a good track, but it's definitely nowhere near his best because it is literally just about shoes. So Worlds Away is a really good track. Like, it's a weird track. So he's talking about how he's with a new girl, and like, that new girl does things different. And he's talking to the previous girl he was talking to, like, She sees the things that you don't see. She looks at me like she loves me. Like, she's saying that she's a completely different person. Like she's saying, she breathes the air that you don't breathe. She bleeds the blood that you don't bleed. She's saying she's a completely different being to you. She's so much better. And he's moved on and he's found a better girl. Which is like, it's a different track. But it's kind of like at the start, like he hears, that's kind of like the hook, but the verse is like, this girl is only there for the sex, but he feels like she knows his pain, and she's trying to like look at it and try and get through it. But I feel like it's short-lived on him, because he wants the emotional support and emotional life from her, but every time he wants it, it's like it can't be done because she's only there for the sex, kind of thing. And it's a sad track, produced very well, produced by Horsehead. Red Drop Shorty is like a controversial one, I feel like, in the Peep community, I'd say, because a lot of people hate Kerbal verse. Is that how you say it? I've never actually tried to say that in actual person, but Kerbal is questionable in everyone's mind. Either you love it or you hate it. I'm kind of on the fence about it. Like, I do, like, lyrically is quite good, but we've got to get to that. Like, Lil Peep at the first is talking about how he's just like, he's going through life, like getting with girls, taking drugs and all that. Again, that kind of style is always in his style, but he's saying like how he doesn't give a fuck anymore and he doesn't care and he just wants to like move on with his life. And it's sad, it is really sad to hear someone who's at that level. And then he's just saying what he's done. And he just doesn't care anymore, and he doesn't really want the emotional attachment anymore. And then Kerbal comes in, and he's talking about like, he just wants to take drugs. And he can't really, like, he just wants to like die from the drugs basically, and he's saying like his whole life he's been struggling and he feels like he'll never change. Like, again, it's a really sad track, it's got a really sad beat. The only issue a lot of people have with this track is Kerbal voice. I don't even know how to say that. How do you even say that anyway? It's like everyone really wants an amazing track from him, and it's a really good track if Kerbal spoke differently. Like, his lyrically it's quite good. Lil Peep's verse is killer. It just goes in and it's really good. It's just very sad, but Kerbal is very questionable in this track to many people. Girls is one of Peep's biggest tracks. And it's an absolute tune, and no wonder it's one of his biggest tracks, because it is an absolute tune and it sounds really good. But he's talking about like how girls like go into these bad habits with him. And the verse is like interesting, and it's an interesting track. Like, verse 1 by Lil Peep, like, he's talking about how he can, I don't really know how to explain it, and I've had a lot of pauses in this one because I'm trying to think about the right way to say it, but he's like talking about like how he can get girls easily into bed, and he's like, they're really liking him because of how he is, and like they like the money aspect of Lil Peep, they like the sex aspect of Lil Peep, they like how he can kind of manipulate them. And it's and he's just saying like how much girls like him and stuff, and it's a bit of a flex but also a bit depressing because he's just out of it and he just wants that emotional attachment. He doesn't want the emotional attachment from girls, he just wants the sex. And then Horsehead comes in, and Horsehead, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of Horsehead, but Horsehead kills this track. Like, he goes in, and he's talking about a girl who like he really likes, but she just doesn't like him back, and he's been trying to help, and he's trying to like, and he's like feeling like horrible about it, and he's literally says like, I wrote the book on feeling empty. Why did I ever take a chance with you? You make me feel empty like the drugs that you do. You told me that you love me, that's not easy to do. So it's kind of like he's talking about it, and he's like, the girl tells him all this stuff, but he doesn't believe it, and she's just in and out of his life, trying to like get rid of him, and he can see right through it, and it's really sad to like see that level and see how people like can stoop to those levels nowadays. Like, obviously it's produced really well. I think it's a sick track. Nose Ring's another one which used to be like a really good one to me. Like, I used to absolutely love it, but it's kind of like grown on me now to like a slightly like less like track. Like, it's still a real, like, all of these tracks are so good, but it's not my favourite. And it's a good track. It produced a lot of things. It's produced by Kian, which is known for producing Little Jeep by Peep, and he's talking about like the relationship with a girl, and the girl doesn't really know if she wants to be with him or not, and it's really sad because he's like, now she's like ignoring him every now and again. He's like, I've got money now, I've got girls now, I don't need you. And he's like, he's do everything for her, he'd tat a name on her face, he'd do all this, but he's now over it, and he just does whatever he wants, and the girl wants him back, but then doesn't want him back at the same time, and they go in and out of him constantly. And it's a difficult track to kind of understand, because he's like, one minute he's talking about how he had it all planned out with this girl, now it's gone, and he's going with other girls, but the girl wants him but doesn't want him at the same time. It's an interesting track, and it's quite a nice one. We Think Too Much is the next track, and this is the 13th track on this album. Mixtape. I get confused with that. So this is quite a good one. Like, it's a weird one, but he's talking about his depression again, and it's like, he doesn't want to like get too stressed out about his depression, about all his anxieties and stuff. And he just wants to be comfortable with the girl and sit with her and just be happy with her, which is like, he wants that emotional attachment again with a girl. And he's talking about it like, I just want to lay my head on your chest, so I'm as close as it gets to your heart. Like, kind of just talking about like, he wants to be there for her. He wants to just lie there and just be with someone who emotionally loves them, instead of just wanting sex like he's always done. And it's difficult for him to kind of like, how he wants something in his life which is more than just that sex and that drugs, and just wants someone who's there for him. The last thing I want to do is the next track, and this is one of my favourites again. I love this track, I absolutely love it. And it's a weird track to talk about, because he's like, if you take it literally, he's just talking about a girl who wants to get back into his life, and he just doesn't want her in. He's like they really messed up together and they can't work it out, so he's just chucked her out and given up and just gone. And she's clearly holding him and saying that he's too young and he's not really working. And then he says, you never bled for me, and it's kind of like, she never put in the effort enough for him, even though he's putting in 10 times more. And it's a really good track, and it's like, lyrically it's quite good, it plays a lot, but then like, it's produced really well. I just love this track. It's one of my favourites. It's probably not my favourite, but it's close and up there. Walkways the Door Slams is another one with Lil Tracy, and this one is really, really good. And he comes in, he talks about his lifestyle at first, like how good his lifestyle is, how good he feels his lifestyle is when he's doing the drugs, when he's doing all this, but he knows that he can't live it all, and he just wants to be there because it's making him feel good at that moment in time. And the girl who wants him, he's like, can't prove and say that he's always there for her, because he can't always be there for her, so he's trying to prove that, and he's trying to like let go a little bit, let go of the tether. And then Neil Tracy talks about a girl who used to love him, his parents used to love him, but he wonders if she still thinks that about him, and if they can work together about it. And he's just reminiscing about the times that they had together, and it goes back into the chorus. And it's a sad track. This track is very, very sad, but it's a good track and it works well. It works once and everything. And the last song is Move On Be Strong, which is a weird track. Like it features a sample from Avenged Sevenfold, and it's not Little Peep's usual style at all, this song. And I love it. Like, it's a very short track, but it features screaming, features like really groany screams. It's very much a very heavy track, and he's talking about like he's not coming back for this girl, and he's tried and tried, but now she's got a new guy, and he's just not coming back for her, and he thinks her new guy's crazy, and he's like telling her to be strong and never text him and stuff. And it's a good way to end it. Like, he's tried and he's like, I don't care anymore, go away, be with your new man, don't think about me. But the whole track is just based on this very sad attire, and it's good. Like, it works, and I would recommend it if anyone wanted the first time listening to Peep. I think I would recommend Hellboy, because it shows so much. It shows difference. Like, it doesn't just show like he's basic, and he doesn't just do this basic crap anymore. He shows that he can do versatility, he can push forward, and he can make these incredible tracks. Like, everything on here I like to an extent. Some of it I like less, but everything I like on here. And there is a track on here for everyone. That's what I think personally, and it's always been a mixtape that people have recommended who listen to Peep. Like, stuff like Come Over and You Soul Part 1, maybe it's older stuff, people sometimes don't work with that, and I know people who don't like that kind of stuff, but so there's always someone who likes a track who I know off this mixtape, and it fits well with mainstream, it fits well with emo, it fits well with like hip hop. It's a track that fits everyone. Like, it's a mixtape that fits everyone, and everyone can listen to at least one song and like it. And so, like, I'd say first time listeners to Peep, go and listen to it, because it's really good. And yeah, I just recommend it, and thank you for listening. This one's been a little bit longer than the last one. I didn't go in as much detail this time, but I feel like if I went into a lot of detail with these tracks, it would have been like 6.5 million hours long, because I love every single one of them. But thank you, and bye.